Hello, everyone. How's it going? Come on down. Come on. We got plenty of seat out here. Thank you, everyone, for coming down and social distancing and wearing your mask. Thank you so much. My name is Omar. I'm with Agents of Change and a group called Chinampa here, helping organize this event here. Thank you here for coming out. Yeah, it feels good. It feels good out here, man. A lot of good energy. Yeah, so I just want to say welcome. Thank you again. We're here. We want to get all you guys' questions. Want to have some information out here. We got some organizations that have brought some information. We got some coloring books and some signs. So we're gonna be making some signs to go out for City Council's meeting on the 23rd, 4 p.m. To vote on the budget. So. Yeah, make sure you come out. Make sure you put in your public comment. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce Tanisha. She's a local resident, activist, and educator at Alsa High School. And she's going to be speaking it up here for y'all.
First, I'd like to say Happy Juneteenth. My church is commemorating what will hopefully be a national holiday by 2021, right? All right. So, as Omar said, my name is Tanisha Smith. I know a handful of you. I am a resident here in Salinas. I have been here since '84. I am currently an educator. I have been, ever since I've been teaching, I think I've been teaching for about 15 years now. I know I don't look old enough, thank you. But I've been teaching about 15 years. And 10 of those years, I've been right here in the beautiful heart of East Salinas. And I love this community. The community has embraced me and my husband, who is Chanel Smith. He coached at Alsal High for many years. And we have roots in this community. We have 4 girls that we're raising here in this community as well. And I just remember, I'm going to share my story. I remember growing up that I had many opportunities outside of school to be great, to be in sports, within my church, volunteer opportunities with the community. But as time went on and as we hit a recession, as we saw our environments change, as we saw our city grow, things changed and they cut many things. Recreation being one of the hugest things that took, the hugest cuts. And what I remember is, just to give you a little bit of background, I was an athlete in high school. I earned a full rights, I went to Hartnell. I did very well there. I earned a full ride scholarship. I graduated from Fresno State, but my college education was paid through my talents in track. So I got a full ride scholarship. But that would not have been possible had I not been able to participate in after school activities and activities outside of the school. And they have cut many of those things. As I read over the beautiful paper that and all of the stats that our beautiful statisticians have given us, round of applause for them. Thank you for those stats, that's amazing. It's showing the pennies that are going into recreation. Of course, recreation is only one outlet that we're talking about for our students and our children and our future. The reason why I'm kind of stuck on that is because I'm raising 4 daughters. While we are blessed to be a middle-class family and we can afford to pay for them to play on teams that travel outside of this area, many of our kids do not have that opportunity. Many of our kids don't even have an opportunity to go outside if it's not outside of recess at their school. Think about that. So if we're cutting resources from recreation and they don't have a place to go, of course they're going to turn to something that is not positive. Of course, when you're withholding funds from the library, you're cutting funds from the library, you're cutting off their lifeline to other experiences and being able to imagine places through their reading, through building their literacy, through giving them chances to understand the language, to incorporate themselves, not to assimilate, but to incorporate themselves into another culture while not losing the own heart of their own culture. So I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but what I urge you to do is to share your story and use your voice. I know that I am going to be making comments. I'm going to be making a public comment at the budget meeting because I feel passionate about reallocating funds, not defunding. Defunding police sounds really harsh. Yes, we need police. And I've actually read some of the comments from the last meeting, and they said if we don't get more police, then this town's gonna turn to a shit show. Excuse my language. But no, it's not. But as a special educator, we were taught that if you are trying to modify a behavior, you don't scare it out of a person, you replace that behavior, correct? So, if you want to correct a behavior, if you want to take something away, then take away those cops, reallocate the funds into a shelter, into another center, maybe not the YMCA, but create other opportunities where you have crisis counselors, where you have opportunities for art and theater and things where they're not going to choose to go out and, I don't know, deface the whatever. They'll come to the theater place and they'll do art on paper. That's just breaking it down simply. I know that sounds so simple. It wasn't very eloquent, but that's straight to the point, right? We want to replace behavior, so that means that we need to reallocate the funds from not trying to over-police and criminalize our youth and actually pushing them into this justice system instead of keeping them outside of it. So please do not let any type of, you have no obstacle in front of you to not create a comment. You have somebody here that can help you. You have resources here that can help you create a comment. Make sure that your voice is heard so our city council can know that we need to reinvest. We need to reallocate these funds and reinvest to revitalize Salinas. We want to revitalize, when we're revitalizing our parks, we're revitalizing the hope for a child that doesn't have that can't go outside of going to school. And they're not even in school right now. Now they have this whole summer where they haven't been in school for 3 months, then they have a whole summer in front of us, and then we don't know what school's gonna look like ahead of us. What about crisis counselors? What about more people and resources in the school when we finally get to go back to school? Do you know how many students are gonna come back with so much baggage from what we've gone through? Imagine how we feel as adults, how we're processing everything that's going on around us, and we're asking preschoolers through 12th grade with not full executive functioning to really process what's really going on right now. There's so many more things that we can spend money on, that we can create, that we will revitalize souls, that we will revitalize hope in children. We have children in this community walking around with PhDs in poverty. Poor, hungry, and desperate. And when you're desperate, you will do anything to feed the need that you are craving, correct? So if that's crime, if that's battery, whatever it is, they're gonna go and feed that need. But why don't we reallocate those funds and reinvest them to prevent those things? That's why we need to make comments. That's why we need to make sure that our voices are heard. That's why we need to vote. We need to talk to everyone in our family that's 18 and over. And I know that some people may feel, I know that when working with kids, they're nervous about, be careful, there's a dog. Be careful behind you guys. Oh, sweet. Okay, so, okay. Oh, he's sweet, his energy's good, okay. So, I forgot what I was saying, you guys. So it engulfed in the dog. Voting, yes, voting. You need to vote. You need to make sure you're talking to anyone. And like I was saying, I had students that don't want to participate because they worry that they are not going to say the right things. Well, if you have a family member that feels that they're English language learners and their voice doesn't matter, please sit down, help them, write the comment. You have resources here. They'll give you templates. I even got a template emailed to me. That's gonna help me. I have my own words. Everybody has their own story. Make sure you please are sharing your story. We must reallocate these funds. We're not saying get rid of the police, but we are saying do not over-police us. Reinvest these funds so we can revitalize Salinas. Thank you for having me in this space. Thank you for giving me your time, and I'm all for the cause. Power to the people.
Thank you, Tanisha. Thank you. And like you said, we need to go out there and vote. We need to we got to submit our public comments. We got to let the city council know that we want them to reinvest in our community. And that starts on June 23rd, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Up next, I have Nathaniel. He's a local resident, local activist, and wants to say a couple words as well. Welcome, Nathaniel.
I'm gonna go ahead and take off my mask since I think I'm social distancing enough for right now. I'm going to give you the African American black man story. I'm gonna let you know where I came from, so it can play into the narrative that you're trying to show right now. I'm gonna give you something that I come from Shelby County, Alabama. That's where I'm born and raised when I say I come from. And I'm talking about white people on one side, black people on the other. Latinx usually fit in with the African American community where I come from. And growing up in Alabama, I was always, I believe, 5 black people of an all majority white elementary school. And I'm gonna build up so you'll really understand what I'm trying to say. And so when I'm going to this elementary school, it's called Shelby Elementary, I think we had like 2-3 Latinx people in it. The other school that we had was all black and Latino, but since I lived out in the country boondocks, my folks who, by the way, I was the first in my family to graduate high school, but we'll get to that later. So my education was kind of interesting, and I'm gonna be real intimate with you about my life because I'm not ashamed of it anymore. I failed kindergarten twice. My mom couldn't afford to take me to school at times when I first started. She just couldn't afford it. She was a maid. She worked for old white people in the South. I'm talking about this is different in California now. Back where I come from, black people make their living working as maids and stuff like that on the side while they have another job. As I rised in school, they try to throw these labels at me as though he needs ADHD medicine and all these other things. And my mom, she was educated enough to know that I didn't need that. I loved learning. I was top of my class, but I was breaking the social standards of what a black boy should be doing in Alabama. So they tried their best to hold me down, but it never stopped me. I continued to defy the system, fight the system. Even as a little kid, I remember I was in 3rd grade, and I had the county supervisor of Board of Education. I brought a meeting in 3rd grade to tell them that I wanted to be in a higher level reading class. The same kid that failed kindergarten twice because I was reading books ahead of my level. I ended up going into, later on, as I got to 6th grade, I finally started seeing black people that looked like me. All these people were kin to me, by the way. My mom must have sheltered the crap out of me. I'll be real with you. Because when I got to middle school, I saw all these people that looked like me, right? And they were like, where you been, man? Are you new around here? I'm like, no. I guess my mom sheltered me, you know? She was just low income. She worked hard. My dad died before I was born. So she was very protective of me. And so when I got to 6th grade in middle school, a different school with all majority black people and white people were coming together, and none of these people, and I'm talking about where in lunch, a lot of you will probably remember this, where you have separate tables. The white people, I don't know if it happens in California, but the white people sit at one table, the black people sit at another table, Latinx kind of sit wherever they, where they fit in. But that's how it was growing up for me. And so And also in school, they had the standard diploma, the advanced diploma, and standard diploma. And all the African American and Latinx people where I come from always went to the standard diploma, while the white people had the advanced diploma. What I'm talking about, where I would take Algebra 1A, and then I would take Algebra 1B the next year. The kids with the more well-off privileged life would take the algebra class, trigonometry, calculus to get them some college credit so they'll be able to, go on to college and live life and things like that. The only thing in my life, the only thing that people cared about me was that I was an athlete at the time. I was a pretty big time guy, athlete, football athlete. I had a big ego. My wife had to calm me down. It's real interesting. I'm standing here talking to you, man, because I dress like this because where I grew up, I had holes in the wall. I can go back now and they're doing a little better, but it's still a little rough. I'm trying to build myself up so I can help my family. Still, one day I still, try to send them money and things like that. But I grew up, I don't like talking about this where I come from because, I don't really like to talk about this at all because it's embarrassing to my family, but I grew up living with holes in the wall, rats, roaches. My wife, when we first met, we've been together for about 6 years, married for almost 3 years. And when I was embarrassed to bring her home to my house because that same foam bed that I used to sleep on when I was a little kid, I'm talking about 30 foam bed, was still there. And that tells you how much she loves me, that she knew where I was going and what I was doing. But for me when I brought her back to where I came from, she didn't run away. The education system needs to change, man. It does. Yes, I have a master's degree. It's in international policy and development with a concentration in human trafficking, migration, and human security. But I'm still the guy that failed kindergarten twice, failed 6th grade. I mathed with a 49%. I'll never forget that. I was a class clown. I'm not gonna lie to you. Once I started meeting people that looked like me, and they were more about Jordans, J's, gangs, and stuff like that. It wasn't because that was the lifestyle they wanted, but that was because they had family and that people actually cared about them in those gangs, in the Bloods and Crips. And so I started following into that. And it was weird for me because I was in 2 different lifestyles where I was an athlete, I was popular, I knew people knew I was smart, but I also had this street edge to me where people respected me because of where I came from. And so I knew that I wanted better for myself, but I didn't know how to find it. I had one lady, and I'll talk about her later, but I had one person that helped me get to college, and it was a counselor in my school, a white lady, red hair, her name's Cindy Husky Sims, 6 foot something, a smile that would cure cancer. But she's the one that helped me. My football coaches didn't help me. All they cared about was my talent. My teachers, they were overworked, lower pay. I've always tried to, I'm one of those people, I'm about integrating your culture instead of assimilating to the system. So, I've never really agreed with the United States way of doing things. We celebrate Black History once a month. I barely hear about Latinx history. I barely hear about Native American history unless you're talking about that they were colonized, we were colonized, talk about slavery. We're talking about, today's Juneteenth and not many people know about Juneteenth. We need to start implementing other people's cultures into the school systems. And for that to happen, we need to relocate some funds to do that. We need social worker programs. Something funny, all my family members have been in prison and jail, but I worked in law enforcement for over 10 years, 5 years as a corrections officer. And 14 to 18, I have a weird story. I worked with the DEA, FBI, that helped me get some cool jobs and things like that. Did some cool underwork. People used to call me the spy kid because I worked in did some things that other people don't get to do. And I always tell people, man, I'm glad I didn't assimilate, but I was close. I'm talking to people that look like me. We got all these iPhones out. That's what showed us what happened to George Floyd. But look at this. You can be African American. You can be Latinx, Asian, Native American, and still assimilate to the white man's system. So don't act like just because you are a certain color, you speak a certain language, that you can't assimilate to a system that wasn't for you. You may not remember, most of us don't know about what happened during Martin Luther King times or the experience of slavery, but trust me, I work for YWCA as a human trafficking coordinator, and slavery is alive and well in Monterey County, as well as everywhere else. Trust me, I deal with it every day. But that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about how we need to make sure that we're doing what's right for the next generation. What's happened to me has already happened to me. I'm the expectation, not the exception. And I can't give my success to no other brother or sister. But we can make sure the next brother and sisters get a fair chance. I had a lot of obstacles in my way to get to where I am today. And I will proudly wear a suit and sometimes a tie every day to show that, yeah, I'm trying to get to that next level. Because where I grew up, I used to be those people that got those little school shoebox lunches and all that stuff that we do for other people, low income people. I had all that stuff. And it was embarrassing. But actually it strengthened me, because now I know where I came from and I know where I'm going, and I try to stay humble on my life journey. I'm not gonna give you a long speech. I'm not because I can go on and on, but I just want to say that if you are a politician here, or you know someone that's a politician, or if they're watching this right now, we need to start thinking about the next generation. What do you want to be known for in history? Do you want to be the person that said, no, we don't want to give social workers more pay and more opportunities to do things? Because there can be the ones that go and talk to domestic violence situations, or they can be the ones that talk to someone that's having suicide. Trust me, as someone that came from law enforcement officers, most of them are GED, high school diploma people with 6 months of education of their state. You know what I mean? And they're getting paid here in California $85,000 a year plus to carry a gun and be a elite paramilitary person. We need to do more for our communities. I'm not from Salinas. Me and my wife have been here only a little bit close to 3 years. And I always consider myself an outsider. I live in Marina, but I continue to speak in every city because people ask me. I just got off work and I had to make sure that I came to speak to you guys today. I'm nobody special. I didn't write anything down. I'm just speaking from the heart, man. I'm just saying we need to do more. If you're pro-police, that's a good thing. Okay, you want safety in your community, but guess what? The black and brown community wants safety too. We're tired of getting shot in the street. We're tired of being incarcerated for no reason. I mean, some reasons are fair, but dang, we're 12% of the United States population, and we're 58% of the prison system. 58%. African Americans are 58% of the prison system, but we only make up 12% of the United States. Latinx people are 17. Let me give you the according part. According to U.S. Census, where me and my wife work for, semi because of COVID-19. But the Latinx community are 17 to 18% of the population. You know how much the make up? I think it was like 38%, but it's rising because they don't count actually the border and all these other things that are happening where women are getting separated from their children. I can go on and on. But all I'm saying is that law enforcement should be happy that people are talking about relocating funds that can help them out, so they're not looking like the bad guy every 5 minutes. Maybe educate them more or something like that. How about we have some more people with college degrees becoming law enforcement? Maybe we should make sure that those people that are in law enforcement, they don't have to be, you have to be in good shape to be in law enforcement, but you can get in good shape. Get some people that think right, that are smart thinkers, that are thinkers. You don't have to be a bodybuilder to be a law enforcement officer. I mean, I'm only saying that now because my wife fattened me up. But but I'm joking. But I'm just saying, there's so many different things that we can do for this community, but other communities as well. And we need to start being thinkers and stop saying if it ain't fixed, if it's not broken. What's the saying? Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Well, there's a lot of broken things happening right now. George Floyd's not the only case. we have iPhones and we're able to see a lot of stuff, but he's not the only case. When I was 8 years old, I saw a KKK rally in Shelby Iron Parks. My two friends were with me, and one of the neighbors was in the KKK rally, and he said, "Hey, you need to get away from here." And, like, this stuff is alive and well. White supremacy is alive and well, man. Like, California is a blessing because we are diverse. We are more on the liberal side. And so we are, I'm not jumping on anybody who's conservative because you can change your mindsets, hopefully. Don't let me get on a Trump rant. But I'm just saying that we need to change the system, man. Change the system. We have a politician over here on my left, Anthony Rocha, and he's 21 years old, man. I'm 26 years old. I'm not that old, And I think young people should be the next leaders. We need a revolution. I'll say it again, we need a revolution. Power to the people. I'm never going to let somebody shut me up. They're going to have to make me shut up. And that's why people follow people that don't shut up sometimes, because sometimes the people that don't shut up get things done, And I'm challenging you, young brother, somebody that's in politics right now. You're being indoctrinated into a system that will force you to assimilate to the system. Please make sure that when you don't worry about being voted, if you're going to get voted in, if you don't say the right thing. If you're doing what you should be doing, the right people will follow you. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathaniel. That was awesome. Thank you. I want to go ahead and introduce Cesar Lara. He is the Policy Director for MILPA and the Director for the Monterey Bay Central Labor Council.
So I'm going to ask people to raise your hand if you are okay with this. Are you okay with 45% of our city budget going to police? Are you okay with our parks being in disrepair? Are we okay with our streets with potholes big enough to swallow up a car? Are we okay with the sidewalks we have in our city? So now let me ask for everybody that wants change, that wants to correct our budgets, please raise your hand. And what kind of system do we want in the city of Salinas? Do we want to invest in parks? Do we want to invest in libraries? Do we want to invest in true public safety? Because guess what? Public safety is more than police. And they have taken that away from us. We must fight for what we need in the city of Salinas. Right now we're going through this global issue with COVID-19. We're also seeing the streets filled with people marching for justice. We need to put those actions into results. The city of Salinas will be voting on a budget on Tuesday, and there's work that could be done. Edgar Ibarra in the back over there, he's gonna stand up and start handing you guys some information. Diana as well. And what we want you to do is come with us, sign on to a letter that we're going to be sending to the city council saying the status quo is no longer acceptable in the city of Salinas. We're going to stand up to say that we need better community for our youth, that we need to fight for what we need, and we cannot stand for what it is now. We need to stand with the reality that we want in the future. I have 3 kids. They're 6, 11, and 12. And when they ask me where I was at, or their kids are going to ask me what I was doing, and I'm going to ask this question, and I'm going to ask this question of you. Are you going to stand in the side of community, or are you going to stand in the side of incarceration? Where are we going to stand?
Community!
Where are we going to stand?
Community!
Where are we going to stand? Community! So we have an opportunity to change the reality that we're living in. We need to put pressure on the elected officials. We have a candidate that's going to be running for office in one of the city council districts. Tell him that he needs to follow your lead. He cannot follow the growers' lead. He cannot follow the business leaders' lead. He needs to follow the community. Because at the end, we vote these guys into office. And then we let them do what they do to our community, to our gente. This police force has killed our people in the city of Salinas. We are not removed from what happened in other states. We are not removed from the marches that are happening. We has had blood on the streets, and the least that I could ask you to do is stand up and tell the city council the way our reality is now with our budgets need to change. We cannot stand for the way that our community is being victimized by this budget. They asked us in this community, who here knows about the Alice of Vibrancy Plan? The Alice of Vibrancy Plan was a mini general plan for East Salinas. We talked about housing, we talked about economic development, and we talked about community priorities. When we asked the city manager and the department heads, where in this budget can you point to? This 2020-21 budget, what in here can you point to that is supporting this plan? That residents spent hours, more than 1,000 people spent multiple hours putting this document together. You know what the staff said? Well, we're gonna be looking for grants. It's not coming out of the general fund, but don't worry, we're gonna find some grant money to fill the areas that we want to focus on. That's unacceptable. We need to change it. So as we march and we come here today, we need to make sure that we elect the right people, vote in November, but show up on Tuesday to City Hall. And we also have another issue that I want to talk to you about, this County Board of Supervisors. Did you know the amount of money that's being spent at our jail? Do you know the amount of money that's being spent at our juvenile hall? Right now, the juvenile hall is slated, in 2014 told us they wanted to build a 200-person facility of a new juvenile hall. They settled on 120. They just narrowed it down to 80. Do you know what is the average amount of young people in this jail? In Monterey County, at the current juvenile hall, it's 24 people. About $10 million a year. And another 20 at the youth center. So this reality cannot continue. We need to fight at the Board of Supervisors. At 10:30 in the morning at the Board of Supervisors chambers, we need you to show up. We need you to tell the Board of Supervisors enough is enough. Edgar is passing out a flyer with that information. We also need you at City Hall. Because at the end, when my children ask me where I was doing today in this middle of this historic movement, I'm not going to say that I was watching TV. I'm not going to say that I just let the status quo be the status quo. I'm going to say that I was out on the street with many of you. I'm going to say that I told the city council and I had my community behind me to say enough is enough. 45 cents of every dollar to police in the city of Salinas with all the challenges we have is unacceptable. Because guess what? You know how much percentage goes to parks? Guess.
3%.
3.5% of the city budget goes to parks. We did a parks master plan last year, and we had a dream session about what programs we wanted, what buildings we wanted. We did that. You know what a lot of the youth that showed up said? That's all great. Can I get grass? Can I get a drinking fountain? And can you open the bathrooms and clean them once in a while? This is our society in Salinas, California. And we need to change the reality that we're living in. So once again, at least what I'm gonna do, and I'm asking everybody to do here, is let's fight for the change that we need. Because guess what? Anytime we've had change in this country, it hasn't been handed to us, we've had to fight for it. And what I'm asking you is we need to fight. And we need to fight for our community and fight for the next 7 generations, because that's what Milpa does. We're cultivating change makers for the 7 generations. That is the burden that we have, and we as an organization are not the organization. This whole community needs to be part of that. So I ask you to come with me, I ask you to march with me, I ask you to tell the Board of Supervisors and the City Council, and guess what? And I'm gonna ask you to do more work after that, because we're not gonna be done by actions like this, and you could go home. We need to fight every day for the reality that we want, the world that we want. And the only way we're gonna do it is taking a small group of people, getting more people to activate. So I ask you to join me. I ask you to fight, because it's not about us. It's about our kids. I grew up here in the Salinas Valley. Both my parents were farm workers. My dad walked over the Arizona desert. My mom came in the trunk of a car. And I say that only to say that that is the reality that many of us are living in Monterey County. Per capita, Monterey County has the highest percentage of undocumented individuals, more than any county in California. That means that we're a border community. So for everybody that could vote, you're not just voting for yourself, you're voting for your family, and you're voting for those that don't have an opportunity. And so we ask you to vote, but we ask you to hold elected officials accountable, because that's the only way we're gonna do it, and si se puede. Am I right? Come on, si se puede? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Caesar. Yeah, let's give him a round of applause. I think that's really helpful information. Reminder, you know, we need you guys to continue to fight. We need everyone to be there, fighting for the community that we want. We want to make sure we hold our elected officials accountable. You have the meeting on June 23rd at 10 a.m. at the Board of Supervisors. And then on that same day, a block away, you have the City Council meeting at 4 p.m. at the Salinas Rotunda. Let your voice be heard. Submit your public comments. And I'm going to let Samantha say a couple words about that.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being out here today. Thank you. The purpose of us putting this event together here today was, in a lot of the research that we did, we found that a lot of our elected officials lean very heavily on public comment. If some of you, I know there's a lot of familiar faces out here, some of you guys who follow me on social media, I would put up a post about how someone had made a post saying that she worked in the city, right? Not our particular city here in Salinas, but she worked as a city official. And she was asking everyone to please make her job really hard. And she said that 10,000 signatures on a Twitter petition looks really great, right? But 10 unique emails to our city council member, that's what makes her job really difficult. And that's what we're asking you guys to do here today. We've collected all of our power and all of our resources to come here today to create the space and the platform for you guys to go ahead and get your voice be heard. I know a lot of the times it's really not very accessible to a lot of us, right? Even though we walk around with iPhones in our hands and, you know, Google and all of this great stuff, we just don't know where to go. What do we do? Where do we go? We have people available here today that can tell you exactly who your elected official is here in Salinas. We have people here today that can help you to compose your ideas and to write in a comment far in advance of when they're going to close that public comment. On June 9th, Bok-Tune 12 put together an event outside of Salinas City Hall, and there were over 100 public comments that were recorded for the city council meeting. There were approximately 30 of them that were for reinvestment, and then approximately 70 of them that were for the police. So we hear it in the streets, right? I see all of these beautiful faces, and not just here today, but I've seen you guys a couple Fridays ago, right? And a couple Tuesdays ago, and we're out here. We're not just in Salinas, we're in Marina, we're in Seaside, we're in Santa Cruz, we're in San Jose, we're in Oakland, we're everywhere, right? Salinas needs you right now. What we need to do right now is to take a couple moments, because we have all the information that we need in our hands right now, people. Take your phone out, take your tablet out, take your device out. Figure out who it is that you need to email and send them that email. Send in that public comment. It's so important. 1 or 2 lines could literally make the difference in our community, not just for us here today, but for the generations to come as well. I see this beautiful gathering. I see so many children here today. I want a better future for my daughter. She's 5 years old. I lived in Los Angeles before I was pregnant with her. I chose to come back here to my community where I was raised to start my family and to raise my daughter. I'm not going anywhere. Salinas is beautiful. Salinas is vibrant. Salinas is abundant in so many different ways. Estas tierras aquí son abundantes. No nomás con la cosecha, no nomás con la lechuga, con la fresa, con todo lo que viene de aquí, con la gente. El poder de la gente, eso hay en abundancia aquí. The power of the people, we have that in abundance here too in Salinas. It's not just lettuce, it's not just strawberries, it's not just the agriculture, it's not just artichokes. We have power and we have passion, and I'm asking you guys to please, 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 if you need help, we have people here from Agents of Change that are willing to help you. If you need help in English or in Spanish, we have that help available to you. If you have questions, we will do our best to answer your questions. But this is the forum, people. City Council didn't create the space for us. The community did that. We did that. You're part of the community. You did that. And I want to say one last thing for everybody here today, whether you're a voting age or not a voting, young, old, all of that good stuff, it doesn't matter. The way that the city of Salinas gets this $116+ million is not just through grant money, and it's through taxes. Whether you're documented or not, whether you're 18 years of age or not, you pay taxes. You go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, you go to the movie theater, you go to restaurants, you spend your money here in this community. That is your money. Speak up for it. Gracias.
Thank you, Samantha. And very important, like this is our community, that's our money that's going into it and that's paying for this police department. This overfunded police department. We need to make sure that they are held accountable. Our city council is held accountable. Our board of supervisors are held accountable because they are accountable to us. We elect them and we pay their salaries. So I want to introduce Chaco for Baktun 12.
All right, thank you everybody. June 19th, 1865, I believe it was, right? It was announced, it was barely announced. The Emancipation Proclamation was barely announced in Texas. All right, so think about that. Why Texas? Why wasn't it just didn't it just show up on everybody's phone at the same time? No, it didn't. It took a while. Why did it get to Texas though? Why? Because nobody got the memo in Texas. In fact, it was already abolished in Texas in 1829, 1830, by the president of Mexico, Vicente Guerrero, Afro-Mexicano. In 2015, Mexico finally acknowledged the third route. Actually, I think there's still some conversation around whether it's a third route or not. They're still talking about it. Because at one point, there were 30 African slaves to one conquistador in the 1500s in Mexico. Something that a lot of us can probably take in, maybe have discussions with our tios, our abuelos, and maybe even ask them about that. The range of colors, the range of the degree of the shades, right, of love that exists. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this piece because this brings us back to here. These are the roots of our culture, of participation. And why we haven't participated, why it's gotten to this point where we let it slip so far away from us, this democracy, that a reality TV star can become a president. And in 2015, when he said what he said about Mexicans, everybody thought like, oh man, that guy's crazy. He'll never be a president. No. Y'all remember that? That was like 5 years ago. And then 2016 happened. 2017, people were thinking, nah, he ain't gonna like finish the first month. This is 2020. This is 2020. War for sale. War, buddy? That's not funny. So why do you think they sell it? To shake that money. Well, who said that? Some big time company. They've been pushing it for years to profit off of fears. Because when things get hard, they all say, buy more cars. Yeah, that we're gonna need gas or we ain't getting far. Make us suck a third world soul as a patriotic goal. So why we got a trip off their global whole? We think it's about time they ought to let go. My abuelita said the same when they stole Mexico. Well, just ask your homies, your neighbors, and your tios. The people should be president of los Estados Unidos. Yeah! Well then, hey, let's take a poll. We went and asked constituents around the barrio, can we really run things on our own? This many of the vatos polled were like, what? But then this many were like, I don't know, bro. But then this many said, pretty good, eh? We can run this country, yo, and we can do it without getting all unilateral, fool. Well, send friends, Romans, paisas, countrymen. We can all just do ourselves a favor and start running for president right here, right now. Get these old school politicos to throw in the towel. Well, the time has come to take back our pueblos. Remove the mal gobiernos. Make our voices heard on all kinds of other levels. I mean, ya de más. Haven't we had enough of them cheating, lying federals, pointing their crusty old dedos, cutting power tripping pedos, in everybody's land from here to somewhere pretty freaking lejos? And what about those of us all strung out on their upper class leftovers? Let's dismantle them trickle-down bone throwers, those nickel and dime peace posers, and all them homeland insecurity acting holy rollers. For the next presidential election, the strongest candidate should be us. The one, the many. Vote for us, everybody, for president. Vote for you, be the jefes of the government. Vote for mom, now would that be wrong? Vote for your kid like what's his name did. Vote for your homie, not some weak old phony. Vote for your sister, better than the mister. Vote for your pops and not some punk ass cops. We gotta vote for the earth, the one that gave us birth. We gotta vote for the truth that's inside the youth. Now we gotta vote for these crops and not the bombs that's been dropped. 4 and 3 and 2 and run. For the White House, we don't need no guns, because our election day has finally come, when every single resident votes to get president, and all citizens won't need no permission, or all citizens undocumented won't need no permission, so just bust on in from the barrios of the brave to the ghettos of the free, with or without my smartphone and some of that TV. It's time we control this reality. It's time we control this reality. It's time we control this reality. I mean, who here knows if the news ever shows a public that favored some orange Cheeto? Because if that's the case, then why don't we embrace every pinto sitting in some locked up place? Because I mean, shouldn't we be the rulers of our guerra? Cut out all the abusive mierda. Corporate cokeheads, you know we ain't afraid of ya, because without us, there be no America! Without us, there be no America! Because without us, because without us, because without us, because without us! Thank you very much.
So get one of our council members actually to join us. I believe via some sort of social Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, I don't know. FaceTime, one of those ones. Shout out to technology. So as we get that going, but we have Representative Barrera from District 2 that's going to be joining us via FaceTime. And we're asking if anybody from the community has any questions for the council. This would be a really, really great time. Especially anyone specifically from District 2 as well. Anybody have any questions for your council member? Give you guys a few minutes to kind of think about that. I know sometimes the nerves can kick in a little bit, but based on all of the information that we have shared with you guys here today, even if it wasn't a question, but maybe just a comment or a concern that you would want, this is an elected, representative of ours that can take your voice back to the city council, even if he isn't particularly your city council member. Like I said, he will hear your voice and he can take that back to the city council. So even if it's just an idea, a comment, a concern, anything like that, we are going to have him available here for you. So we have a couple questions and we're going to give Representative Barrera an opportunity to address you guys here today as well. So we will do that very shortly here. Hello, Representative Barrera. Was there anything that you wanted to say to the residents that are out here today? We've got quite a crowd here.
Yes, well, first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody that's participating in this very important gathering. I think Tuesday is going to be a critical meeting for the simple fact that we are looking at our entire City of Salinas budget. And I think the consensus of the council is that we're really looking at prevention programs. What I mean by that is better parks, recreation centers, infrastructure. We're talking millions of dollars, but we want to focus on making sure that our neighborhoods are being taken care of.
And when you say that you want to focus on the neighborhoods being taken care of, Representative Barrera, we have a question here in the community. Specifically, we want to ask if that includes policing when you make a comment like that, because I think a lot of the times some of the verbiage gets lost in translation, right? So we want to make sure that we're all speaking the same language here.
Yes, and I think police is a big part of our community. As a matter of fact, right now there's 9 young police officers that grew up in the LSL. A lot of them went to the LSL Elementary, they went to Fremont, they went to LSL High School, they went to Hartnell College, and then they started going out to university. So we have about 9 young police officers that are Latino, and they were born and raised in Salinas, especially in the LSL. And I think these young police officers wanted to be police officers to improve their community. So I think police is a big part of safety as well.
And I think a lot of the residents here today, especially some of the people, I was able to do some canvassing in your district with my compañero Daniel here over the past couple of days. And a lot of the things that we're hearing in the community, especially from people in your district in particular, or at least that I was particularly privy to, was that we do see the need for policing, and policing does serve a very necessary purpose in our community. But in talking about a balanced budget, 45% of anything going to one category in a budget is not balanced. So that's our issue here, is that there's too large of the portion of our overall funds that are going towards policing. So what are the things that we can do to help trim the fat, for lack of a better term?
One of the things that we're looking at is how we can get some dollars from the police department. For example, right now our SROs, which are our police officers that are working at the Santa Rita School District.
SRO stands for School Resource Officers, for those of you who are not familiar.
Yes, thank you. We are looking at $374,000 there, where maybe we're asking the school district, if they're wanting to keep the SROs, that they need to pay for that, where we can get the $374,000 to prevent the program.
So that's another learning experience for us here today. We need to get in contact with our school districts and let them know that the community is not for that. So if Representative Barrera is placing the burden of payment on the school district, that could, be something, a move in the positive direction for us, because then we can go to our school districts and ask them that that's something that maybe we do or don't want. I see a lot of hands going up with that, so I want to definitely open up the floor to some questions from the audience as well. First one we're gonna have coming up here is Sammy.
This is actually a question from someone who's watching the live right now at home. And her question is, what's your long-term plan to allow reallocation of police funding to community development and education? Do you want me to repeat that? What is your long-term plan to allow reallocation of police funding to community development and education? What's your long-term plan?
Well, right now the long term is, we're looking at $1 million right now from the police department that we want to allocate to preventive programs. And again, there's a staff that runs programs in the parks and recreation. So our responsibility is to look for the funding, and then if we're successful with 4 votes, the staff gets to say how that money will be spent for parks and recreation. But our long term is to keep that money funded every year, so that's close to $1 million right now.
Okay. We have another question coming from Nathaniel here. 1 second. Those of you who want to ask a question, why don't we get a line up here next to the easel for anyone who wants to make a public comment or ask a question.
Good evening, Honorable Councilman. I'm just a humble man here with decent education, but $52 million, you're only taking $300,000 out of $52 million for from school resource, the school resource department. What about community? This doesn't cost money, by the way, what I'm about to say. How about community organized boards to police the police? That's pretty easy to do and set up. How about if you're going to talk about taking money out of something, how about putting money into the education system here in Salinas? Use that $300,000 and put more education into the school system so we can educate our Latinx, African American, Black and brown of all ethnicities to learn their heritage, their culture, so they don't forget it and so we don't assimilate to white culture. Because I know you understand that as a person that's been fighting for a long time for us, that we don't need a next generation that assimilates to a system that wasn't for them in the first place. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Nathaniel. And Nathaniel, to your point, right now we have what's called the police activities. It's a police committee. It's made out of 7 different members of the community, and we're looking at it, instead of making it a committee, we want to make it a commission. But that's going to be where they can have a vote, where they can be able to have a say-so, and we're strongly looking at that because a commission versus a committee, a commission can make decisions.
So, just to kind of clarify, what Representative Barrera is saying is that currently there is a police oversight committee that exists for the advisory, that exists for the city of Salinas. That advisory board doesn't meet with regularity. And from what I hear from some inside sources is that it's a toothless body, meaning it's an advisory board, but they have no authoritative power. So what Representative Barrera is proposing is to create a commission.
There you go.
Yeah, so as someone who formerly served on that committee, it is completely toothless, and the agendas are made up by the police chief, and it's rubber stamping things that the police chief wants us to rubber stamp, and there was no decision making. And as someone who had advocated for an oversight committee on that board, it was not well received. And I want to, if we can get Tony Barrera on record saying that he wants to move that committee from an advisory committee to an oversight committee, to oversight commission. I think our community here would like to hear that.
Is that something that our community wants to get behind? Is that something that our community supports? Is that something that you can commit to the community, Representative Barrera? It looks like there's a lot of support for that, and that's something that you brought up, and I commend you for that, actually. I think that community or police oversight boards need to have authoritative power. If not, then again, it's just a toothless body. So Representative Barrera, is that something that you'd be willing to, bring to the table?
Check and see what he's still facing.
Technology.
Might have timed out.
Well, I'll let you guys know that I'm a Library and Community Services Commissioner, Martinez, District 1, and you have me as a witness to that. So I will be bringing this up with Tony Barra at ASAP.
I just want to, I'll let you guys get your points in here, but I just want to really make I want to speak to that, actually, in regards to community oversight boards. Again, having an advisory board is different than having a commission, and that's something that we can include in our public comment. If we're going to try and get Representative Barrera back on the line here, but if that's something that he's willing to bring to motion to City Council to start to create that committee, he's going to need our support with that, right? So that's something that we can include into our public comment and say, we're looking for a community oversight committee with authoritative power. That's what makes the difference, right? When they know that we have some sort of power over them, over their livelihoods, over their jobs, over the way in which they're doing their job, right? And sometimes people think to themselves, well, if you're pro, I want to think about this from different aspects, right? If I was pro-police, then how can I say this is a bad thing? Oh, well, we're going to be scrutinizing them and, this, that, and the third, right? Like, so many other professions are held to this same standard. Doctors, lawyers, accountants, nurses, they can have their licenses pulled to practice their job if they perform malpractice, if they have shady dealings, if they don't do their job properly, then they're stripped of their right to do that job. This is not a foreign concept. So again, I encourage you guys, when you write those public statements tonight, tomorrow, over Father's Day, Monday, we have to get, if you want your public comment to be recorded for the city of Salinas, it needs to be received by 2 p.m. on Tuesday the 23rd. So hopefully we can get them in far in advance of that. But that's something that we can add into that public comment there. That the community is demanding that we have a police oversight committee with authoritative power. Because what we have currently obviously is not enough.
Or commission.
Commission. Thank you for that.
And we have some goodies for the first of y'all who submit these, correct?
Correct. So we have a couple of water or canisters there, some pal café for your coffee. We have some masa for la raza, cups, as well as coloring sheets for the children. If anyone wants to come and take some of those. But for the first people who can show us that they submitted a public comment, that's how you guys are going to get the freebies here. So if anyone wants to hop on their iPhone really quick.
Yes. I brought these from Radio Bilingüe for you guys to, as an incentive to get those in ASAP while we're here.
Should we call? Hey, Cesar. Call him right now? All right, let's call him. Back on.
Sorry, technology cut us off there, Tony.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, you were speaking with regard to the. We were asking if you would be willing to bring forth a motion to the city council to start to create the police community oversight commission. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. One of the things that we do have, like I was saying earlier, we have a police community activities committee, which is one member of the community from every district. I'm looking from somebody from District 2. I will propose that we look at a commission for the simple fact that a commission can vote and take action and make strong recommendation to the city council.
Thank you. And we had a couple of people that had some more questions. Specifically, Tony, we're looking for someone, or for this commission to have oversight and investigative authority.
Well, I think, and you know what? I think it's important. I have to look in with the city attorney. What I will be doing is proposing for a commission, and then we're going to be looking at the details on what we can do there.
Thank you. Next up, we have Edgar with public comment.
Can I say something real quick? Sorry, Edgar. When we make these commissions and we have our meetings, I want to see you people there, because Library and Community Services, we used to have our meetings every month, and very few of you would show up. I could count them on half of a hand. So as we make these committees and move forward, let's have you people come show up, please.
Who was it that made a statement?
Commissioner Martinez, District 1.
Commissioner Martinez, I think you bring a valid point, because during public comment in these meetings, people can actually be there and talk to the chief of police. So I think it's critical.
Yes, it's very key. We need you there to hear you.
Buenas tardes. Good evening, Tony Barrera. I guess I got two questions for you. You know, you've been in position in city council for almost going on 10 years, I would say, if I'm correct. How did you let the police budget get to 45%? What were the values there? What was the city council thinking then? And then the second question is, now that y'all built a brand new police department in the east side, what is going to happen to the old one? And can we repurpose that for the community? Can we repurpose that to make it a one-stop shop, mental health, behavioral health, education, but free?
Cultural center.
Not paid programs where kids need to pay to actually come there and have these programs free. Making it free for all the community to go there, and having a place for just grandparents, youth, everybody to go there. Just want to say that much.
Last name?
Edgar.
Edgar. Okay, Edgar Gutierrez, thank you for your comments. First, the police department. The reason it's gotten so big, because if you understand pensions, retirements, helpers, which is the retirement of the police department on the state level, it has gotten astronomical expensive. So it's not necessarily the wages of each police officer, it's more what the state is requiring from us in taxes. So that's why the number has gotten so huge. So we're looking at that. We're trying to find out how much the police officers can pay for their retirement. And that's going to be a hard one because there's unions involved. So that's another thing. But it's not like we let that get away from us. It's that there's retirement and pensions, which are huge. That's one. The other thing, as far as our facilities, I agree with you. We need more facilities. We need more opportunity for our seniors, for our young people. But nothing is free, Edgar. Somebody has to pay the bill. So we have to look at I'm sorry, there's no free lunch here. So somebody at the end of the day has to pay the bill. I'm sorry.
I think the sentiment, Representative Barrera, is that, you know, we live and we work in these neighborhoods. We spend our money here. We don't take our money elsewhere. That our tax dollars are here, and we feel like we're paying our fair share. And I think to speak to that, you know, we voted in Measure V, it was, and then we grandfathered it in, and it became Measure E. So we picked up the tab for the city, and that half a percent, and then also Measure G money. You know, the city gets as well, and that's another thing that the residents voted to tax themselves. We voted to tax ourselves. And we really want to see accountability for those funds. So it's difficult. I understand your point, Representative Barrera, and I can sympathize with that. But I think that us as residents, we've been voting to tax ourselves, and we've been doing the right thing by our communities. Now what we're looking to see, and correct me if I'm wrong here, crowd, but we need our elected officials to step up and to make those really tough decisions, because we know they're tough. We get it. We know they're really tough. Samantha, aquí estoy, de vuelta. Yes.
You're absolutely right what you're saying, but you took my word out of context here. Somebody has to pay, and you're right. The taxpayer has decided to tax themselves, so somebody's got to pick up the cost. So what we have to do at the negotiating table is to figure out how we're going to do that, because you're right. Measure G in the 4.5 years has brought in over $100 million, and a lot of that money has gone to retirements, it's gone to helpers, it's gone to employees, and it really hasn't gone into the community. I totally agree with that. But we have to look at a way, because remember, we have like 5 different unions we deal with in the city, 5 unions. And you may say, we want money here. Well, when we decide on something, then we have to go and negotiate with the unions. That's another layer of bureaucracy.
We have Tanisha here who wants to come up for public comment. Hello, Ms. Representative Lara. So my question is, for the allocations that are supposed to be increased for the police department, are there funds that are specific to the training and retraining of officers and their crisis conflict?
Well, you know, the money that's saying that's going to be, that they're going to get more money is actually the shot spotter. If you're familiar with that, it cost $475,000, and that was paid with the grant money before. Now they want the general fund to take it over. The SROs, the police officers that work in the schools, it was funded with grant money, but now they want the general fund to pick it up. So now we're talking about almost $1 million. And so we're trying to get that money back to recreation, back to prevention program. The thing with more training, You know, officers go through a lot of training, but if there is something wrong, well, you know what? Are we gonna have a discussion, or are you just gonna prove me when you don't like it?
They're answering back to your statement, Tony.
Hey, one of the things that's critical here is that there's a police officer that's already rotten. We get to get rid of him, because a lot of times this racism training has to come from the heart, and it doesn't come from a textbook. So if we have officers that are already having problems with the residents, we need to address that. That's where the commission will come into place as well.
We're gonna bring the next speaker up. I'm sorry, commenter.
Hello. My name is Rosaura, and I have a question about education and the reallocation of funds. In this recent pandemic, we need to vouch for a future, and I know that thousands are being left behind, and it's a major educational deficit, one that was already prominent before COVID-19. And I want to know if it's a priority to reallocate any funds for all the students that are being left behind. Thank you.
Her question was in regards to education and COVID-19. Is there anything that the city is doing specifically to reallocate funds to help to reallocate funds to make sure that there are no students left behind in the midst? You know, there was already a huge issue with education and children being left behind, and now amidst the COVID pandemic, is there anything that the city is actively doing to try and be preventative of that?
We're doing to be preventative of that. We partner with Dr. in the county, but we need to understand that the school districts also have their electeds. They have an elected body. It's a whole different government. So I think what's important is whatever comes out of education, they need to look at their budget as well as we look at our budget. Our budget is on recreation, is on prevention programs. Education issues belong to the school boards. Monterey County Board of Supervisors deals with mental health, social services, homelessness issues. So it's critical that all three different levels of government, the school, the education, the county, the supervisors, and the cities work together so we can be able to build the funding and really provide the good service for the family, because we serve the same family. Whether it's in education, whether it's in economics, housing, doesn't matter. It's critical that we work together.
Have our next question.
Hi, Representative. I prepared something when I was in line, but I wanted to address a couple of things that you said. So during my working life, I've actually been involved with two separate jobs that have pensions, CalPERS and CalSTRS. Yeah. So you mentioned about the inflation of like police pensions and things like that. Well, teachers and healthcare professionals, there's also those costs. Yet we see that their budgets get cut, healthcare budget gets cut, and school budgets get cut. So that's not just to that point. Another thing too about picking up tabs, who picks up the tabs whenever there's settlements for police misconduct and those types of things. We pick up those tabs as well. Okay, so I actually don't have a specific a question for you. I have rather a comment. I am relatively new to Salinas. I actually came here to work as a pediatrician in our community. And I have really fallen in love with this community, and one of the things that I'm passionate about is addressing adverse childhood events. In the medical community, it is widely known that racism is a public health emergency, and studies done on adverse childhood events show that the more of this a person has, it puts them at a higher risk of substance abuse, unemployment or underemployment, mental health disorders such as depression, and also higher likelihood of engaging in criminalized activities. We all want to feel safe. We all want peace and happiness, but the police does not provide that. There's research behind that. There are numbers behind that. Why don't we put efforts and, more importantly, resources towards addressing these adverse childhood events which affect the most vulnerable populations? Let's imagine a future that may include some police, but not policing.
welcome to Salinas.
Another public comment.
Hi, my name is Christopher Rennan, and I'm born and raised in Salinas. And so I was reading up on the Salinas plan by the National Resource Network, and a lot of the suggestions and recommendations they've been making to dealing with the housing crisis, the expenditures like the pensions and the healthcare benefits that you're mentioning, and yet we're seeing I'm seeing a lot of the discrepancies in that as well. So I want you to explain what has been the strong corrective action that you have made to put the reinvestment into those communities rather than making cuts. And this is to all council members, because I think it's been a reaction every time we're in a deficit or a crisis like a pandemic or a recession. We immediately react by, cutting things and cutting important things for our community. As well, what we're doing is that we're hiring cops. 74 got hired in 36 months, and 54 already left. So what are we doing to even keep the cops around? And are those part of our community as well, and they're transferring elsewhere? So I guess my question is, what is that strong corrective action that the Salinas plan has made, but hasn't been corrected whatsoever, at least from our community perspective? Thank you.
You know, one of the important things and it doesn't matter what we do, it's never enough. Right now we have a brand new 90 apartments, 90 beautiful apartments for low income in Chinatown, because we're really trying to develop Chinatown as well. And 30 of those apartments are for people that are in recovery and they're looking for a better life, and people that can live in independent housing. And then there's other 30 that are like for senior citizens that are low income and they want a better life for themselves as well. So I think those are 90 apartments. We just built the 3 phases of the Hacienda Heights, which is critical. So I think it's important. We're trying to do what we can. So I think what's important is that we're trying. Also, what the city of Salinas does is we look for homes that are for sale, and if we can come to a deal, we buy those homes and we allow people that are in some kind of housing hardships where they can afford and buy these houses. So there's several things that are being done.
Closer to the microphone.
Thank you, Frida. Thank you, Representative Barrera. I wanted to clear up a question that a previous person had, and I'm getting this information directly from Matt Pressey, the city's own finance director, that the $110,000 that the Personnel and Training Division is only going for polygraphs, background services, and psych exams. So even if we wanted our police officers to get some sort of training, anti-bias training this year, they're getting none. They're getting only polygraph, background services, and psych exams for that $110,000. As to your comment earlier about Latino police officers coming from the ALASAL, in terms of the training that they're receiving, our department has been heavily militarized since 2009. Chief Featherholm instituted counterinsurgency training, meaning that those same police officers that you're talking about as being part of our community are being trained to see the members of their community as insurgents. That means as terrorists. So as long as we continue talking about the budget, we should also continue talking about the fact that this money is going towards a militarized force, where regardless of where these officers are coming from, they are being trained to see us as enemy combatants. Thank you.
Joining us, Councilmember Barrera. My name is Cassandra Plummer, and I work for Salinas City Elementary School District as the Behavioral Intervention Specialist.
I was born and raised here. So I'm a bit offended when you mentioned that we should look to our schools to fund our SROs. And our schools are already in a deficit prior to the pandemic. There's no way that we can ask our schools to cover those SROs with our general fund. We are bare bones, bare staff. We buy our supplies from our own pockets. And I went to North Salinas High School where we had SROs. And it's kind of emotional because we were terrorized. And I saw a lot of horrible incidences that should have been de-escalated. And I didn't know any better. I didn't have a voice then to speak up for my fellow classmates, you know? And there's a particular incident I could think of where I saw another classmate, girls fighting, and an officer grabbed her, put her in handcuffs, and roughhoused her so badly that we saw her breasts. Our whole class at lunchtime saw her breasts revealed to us. And her family member tried to cover her up, and she was put into handcuffs too. So that is my experience with SROs growing up. And as an adult, I spoke out against SROs being put onto our campuses because they wanted to put them in the elementary schools. And we spoke out. Our community spoke out. We don't want them here. We don't want police officers on our campuses. And the district that does have SROs, their suspension rate is higher than any of our other school districts in Salinas. So I do not want to continue putting our youth through the school prison pipeline. I don't want that. I want our youth to have programs where they're fully funded. I want them to enjoy the park. I want them to come to this park. I don't want them to want to go to the parks in Monterey because they're cleaner and they're nicer. You know? I want this city, Salinas, to be better. And that's it. Thank you.
Is there any other community member that would like to speak to Representative Barrera before we get off of the call with him? It looks like we have one more member of the community that would like to address you, Representative Barrera.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Tony Barrera. So, as a concerned citizen, trying to go on to the City Council website, why can I not find any of the minutes from any of the previous meetings? Where can I find that information?
Samantha, are you able to do that?
It looks like she is on the citylegislature.com website, and when you hit the meeting details, the agenda, or I'm sorry, for the city minutes, all of it, all the way down through says unavailable. That's for every city council meeting that's happened in the month of June. June 1st, 2020 to today. It looks like the agendas are available on a hyperlink, but none of the minutes are available for any of, and it's not just city council, it's all.
That's really concerning because it's like we don't know what you guys are deciding. We don't know what you guys have spoken about. And I really would love to hold you guys accountable.
And I agree with you. I mean, what I will do is on Tuesday, I'm going to find out why that's happening. Again, there's no excuses, and it should not happen. But I want to remind the people that are listening to me, there are 6 council members and 1 mayor, and we all work for you. And I think it's important when you have any questions or anything like that, you can call our cell phone, and we should be able to respond to your needs. The other thing is, on this website, I know they spent a lot of money on it, and there's been a lot of complaints, and it's ongoing. Again, no excuses. What I can do is ask again on Tuesday what's happening. And with that said, remember, if anybody wants to make comments on the email, you have to turn them in before 2 p.m. on Tuesday.
I asked that same, hold on, I asked that same question that Samantha just asked. I asked that years ago about where are the minutes when you click on the link, and I was told that there wasn't enough to pay a person to put that data in. So now that's the whole reason we're here, is getting the money put in the right place. And one of the right places is somebody put them damn minutes down for you to get.
One more comment, and then after that, we'll give you an opportunity to give your closing statements, Councilmember Barrera.
Hi, Councilmember Barrera. My name is Andrea Rocha. I was born and raised here in Salinas, and I've just moved back after being gone for 10 years, and I'm very passionate about my city. So I have a lot of questions, but the one I actually just want to focus on is based on a lot of research I've done. And I'm curious to know if you can just speak on behalf of the estimated $2 million that we're supposed to receive from the cannabis taxes. That money, we haven't even talked about that. I just read through the document and we don't know what's gonna happen with that. So I'm really hoping it's not going to be going towards the police budget. And I would love to hear if you could just give any comment on that, please.
Did you say cannabis tax?
Yes.
Okay, you know what, when we first came up with this taxation, we were thinking that about $3 million was going to come in. So far, only 700,000 plus has came in per year, which is not even close to the 3 million that we thought. And yes, the sad thing about it, it did go to the general fund, which it should have gone to the general fund. It should be going to prevention dollars. But I need to remind you, it takes 4 votes. It's a majority vote here. It's a democracy. So if we don't get the 4 votes, as long as the money keeps going to the general fund, that can be spent at the discretion of the city manager. So it's critical that we understand that, and I support it, that the cannabis money go to prevention programs, but it really didn't. That did not happen.
Any closing statements that you'd like to give, Tony? Just a minute or two here.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody that's involved. And you know what? And I think it's important that not to be reactive, but let's be proactive. Let's get involved, whether it's in the school district. You know, every 4 years we run for re-election. And I always encourage people from District 2, if you think you can do a great job and represent people, then get in the ring, run for election, whether it's against me or anyone else, because it's actually the government of the people. So it's important whether you want to get involved as a city council member, whether you want to get involved in a committee or a commission, that is critical. Stay away from the sidelines and get in the ring. Get where the decisions are being made. And again, every 4 years, like I'm saying, there are 3 council members that work for re-election. So if you feel that you're in a certain district that's not getting representation, I'm District 2. If you feel District 2 is not getting this fair representation, then get in there and run for election. Again, whether it's against me or anyone else, it's for the betterment of the community. And we will find out that once you're in there, it's very easy to make decisions from the sidelines. But once you get into the fight, you're going to find out that you have to, it's hardball.
Thank you so much, Representative Barrera, for being with us. And I just want to say one thing in his defense is that he was the only council member that we reached out to every single council member and the mayor, and he was the only one that was able to make time to be with us here today. And it's it's not an easy task, right? And it's not supposed to be. I'm not trying to say that we should make it easy on him. We shouldn't. He is our elected official. And I'm glad that we made it a little bit difficult for him today, because this is the dialogue that we need.
Put him back on the mic. Put him on the mic. Or just keep on going.
He was just saying that he says, I have his cell phone number, his contact information, and he was saying, let's try not to give each other those calls at the 11th hour. Let's come to the table and let's, in good faith and make some changes and do things with the proper amount of time. I think that right now the national rhetoric has created a lot of, support around particular talking points. But yeah, definitely this is a fight that we understand that's very, very long term, and we're not going anywhere.
All right, so I want to quickly introduce someone who has actually stepped into the ring, as Tony Barrera had said. He is a current elected member of the Salinas Union High School District Board and currently running for District 6 City Council. This is Anthony Rocha.
Really quick, current District 6 is repped by Villegas, the racist. We like this guy a lot better.
Well, I had this nice, speech that I was going to give, but after listening to all of that, I find it kind of hard to be nice. You know what I mean? There's some stuff that we need to talk about. That was just talked about. When we tell the public, when they disagree with us, their only recourse is to run against us, that's ridiculous. The amount of obscene money you have to raise to run for office, the amount of compromise you have to do to run for office when you have a family, when you have bills to pay, is not something that the average person can do. So if you're privileged enough to serve in elected office, you treat your constituents with respect. Okay, let's get that off the bat. I serve on the school district board, the largest school district in Monterey County. We have a budget of $250 million, and we have 1,500 employees. By contrast, the city has a budget of $170 million and around 500 employees. So you want to talk about change? I know about change. I've created change in government. The Salinas Union High School District passed ethnic studies. We voted to call on the city council to terminate live PD. The Salinas Union High School District voted SROs down. And we did it because we recognized that, and I wasn't on the board at the time, but they did it because they recognized that there is no data to uphold the idea that SROs work. There is no data. All you have is brown and black kids being body slammed, arrested, and traumatized. You know what we chose to invest in instead? Wellness centers, therapists, social workers, after-school programs. So I want to, make sure that we commemorate why we're here today, because we want systemic change. Juneteenth is really important. 155 years ago, slavery was abolished, right? But we know real slavery never went away. It just took on a new form, which is systemic racism. And when we look at the murder of George Taylor, when we look at the murder of when we look at the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, that is systemic racism. So when we have systemic ills, we must develop systemic solutions. The budget process is a systemic solution to systemic racism. That's the truth. So let's talk about what causes crime. Poverty, lack of affordable housing, lack of opportunities for youth, lack of gainful employment. You tell me, is any of that solved by law enforcement? No, it's not. So then why is law enforcement 42% of the budget when they don't actively prevent crime? We all have to get involved. We have to make sure that the budget reflects the values in our communities, because budgets are statements of values. And if we want to prevent crime, we have to invest in opportunities for youth. We have to invest in affordable housing. We have to invest in gainful employment. The Library and Community Services Department is 8% of the budget. You know how much community development is? 4%. You know how much non-departmental is? 5%. Non-departmental is funded more than community development. That's a shame. So thank you for being here, because we need to collectively call on our elected officials, and I'm one of them, to do better, to stand with the community, not to stand with special interest groups, not to stand with what the Karens of the world want on Facebook when they're saying, oh my God, there's not going to be any police. What's going to happen? You're telling me you're not going to over-police black and brown communities? Yeah, because that doesn't work. All you're doing is locking people up. And we cannot incarcerate our problems away. We have to address them. So let's make sure that we invest in our parks. Let's make sure that we invest in our libraries. And as a school board member, I can tell you, I will never vote for school resource officers. The Salinas School District voted him down, the Salinas Senior High School District voted him down, and Salinas City Elementary School District voted him down. So when you're saying let's put it on the school districts to fund them, when school districts are looking at a 10% cut in the budget, you know what that looks like for my school district of $250 million? That's $16 million budget cuts. And you're telling me that I'm supposed to invest in some cops to be on my campus? I don't think so. I don't think so. So, you know, I'm really proud as a school board member to stand here to look at all these young, brown, beautiful, black faces that are advocating for a better future. Because it's our future. It's our taxpayer dollars. I want to continue to live in this community. I don't want to, you know, get a degree and move on to go somewhere else. No, and you know, for those of you that were raised here in Salinas, we grew up and we were always told, get a degree and get out of here. Why? Because we don't have elected officials that are investing in our future. We have to reinvest in our communities, we have to reallocate our taxpayer funds to our community, and we have to reimagine public safety. Because we need to invest in prevention, intervention, and suppression, and right now we have a one-sided sledgehammer of suppression and no intervention. So thank you for being here. I stand with you. The struggle continues. La lucha sigue.
Can we get another round of applause for Anthony? Thank you. Go for Anthony.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, this is not going to matter unless we get our voice heard. How do we get our voice heard? You can look at the back of this sheet. It says Milka. It has the email address. If you follow us on Instagram, Agents of Change 831. Again, Agents of Change 831. We have a QR code. You can pull it up, show it to the person next to you. Take a picture of it. It'll direct you directly to your email app so you can send the email that you need to send. You can say one sentence, but we need to hear your voice. I was the one that tallied up myself and a few other people tallied up the number of public comments from June the 9th. There were 31 people that spoke up for the community. There were 70 people that spoke up for the police. Right now, I counted each and every one of you. There are more than 60 people here. If you tell your neighbor, if you tell the person across the street, if you tell the person that checks you out at the grocery store, we will get this, all right? Please make sure you take action. Take action. Show the person next to you right now and send out even one line. Even one line will get our tally up, okay? Thank you, and let's keep it going.
I just want to add to what you just said. By showing up, if you show up in numbers, guaranteed to get what you're after. It's guaranteed because they look at the amount of people that show up and they're going, give it to them. So show up in numbers when there's something that we feel passionate about. Bring every person you know to these meetings, and after the 30th person, it will be passed.
Exactly. We need you guys to show up on Tuesday. We need you guys to submit your public comments. We have the information. If you have questions on how to do that, we can help you out. I got a question. Yes, submit them in Spanish, and they should. Send it to everyone on the list, plus the public comment at ci.salinas.ca.us. That's the most important one, but submit it to everyone else as well. Make sure that everyone hears it and reads it. we need you guys to show up. We need you guys all to submit comments and be there and support your community. Invest in your community. Demand accountability from your elected officials. There you go. Yeah, I believe that there is one comment. If you have there's multiple comments from the same person, will not be received, or they will receive it but only pick one. But tell everyone, tell your neighbors, tell your grocery store, essential workers, everyone. We need to show up in force. That's the only way they're going to listen to us. I do want to provide a little bit of space of the organizations that came here and have a couple of tables here. We have Epicenter and Radio Bilingüe. If somebody from Epicenter wants to come up and say what you guys do. Yeah.
Thank you, and shout out to all of the organizers for making this happen. This is beautiful. Thank you so much. So happy Juneteenth. Yes. And happy Pride, y'all. So I don't know if everybody knows this, but today the city of Salinas actually raised the rainbow flag today for the first time ever in history. Yes, very proud for that. So yeah, I'm the program director of the Epicenter. My name is Sam Gomez. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I'm happy to be here. We are a drop-in resource center for youth. So when we talk about the prevention programs, we are one of those prevention programs that serve our youth. Our youth are our future, and I believe we need to invest in them, and we need to empower them to be able to make these changes that we need. So thank you all for having us. We're happy to share some resources. We have brochures with information. Right now we are providing mostly virtual services, but every Friday at 20 Maple Street in Salinas, that's where we're at, we are distributing food. So check out our Instagram. We are the Epicenter 831. Follow us for more information if you'd like to see what we have. We have information resources that we share, and then you can also contact us by grabbing one of the brochures. We have an email and a website as well, epicentermonterey.org. So yeah, thank you, and have a good night, y'all.
All right, thank you for that. And we got Radio Bilingüe. If you want to say a couple words. Been DJing here, doing some side commentary. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks. As soon as I received word from my friend Samantha, 831 Comadres, I was down. She sent me the flyer on short notice, and I had them printed and put in the Radio Bilingüe community calendar, because this is what it takes. This is what it is. These town halls. Let's get together. Let's get this moving. Thank you all for coming. DJ Sinister Selecta, Wednesdays 4 to 6. Listen to my program, La Neta, and give me a call, 758-5432, and I'll talk to you on the air. Bye.
Yeah, loving the Rage Against the Machine. Yeah, so we're going to be wrapping up. We have some paint here and a sign that we want to bring out to City Council. If y'all want to come down and leave your mark on this, and it's going to be displayed on Tuesday. This couldn't be possible without all of the amazing organizers. We came together in such short notice off of an Instagram thread, and that thread grew and grew and grew and grew, and here we are today, and holding this beautiful rally and building community. And I want to say thank you for everyone. 81 Comadres, we got Baktu 12 in there, BHC, we got Milpa, we got so many representatives. I myself am with a group called Shinampa, and we got so many other people and organizations coming together to build solidarity to fight this fight. And I want to say much love and appreciation for everyone, and thank you for coming out. Samantha, you want to say something?
So much, everybody, for coming out once again, to all of our speakers, for all of your beautiful words, your impactful words, for everyone who engaged with Representative Barrera. I appreciate you guys and your power, and for sharing your voice, your thoughts, your opinions. One last ask, actually two. The first one, the most important one, the reason that we came out here today is to get everyone the information to know that the public comment is so important. So if anybody needs help with public comment, we're gonna be hanging out out here. Find myself, find Omar, find Josh, find one of the agents of change, and we'll go ahead and help you with that. And then what was the other thing? Oh, also, if social media, I see a lot of young people out here. We all know the power of social media. If there's anybody out there that wants to lend their face, that they have a comment, that we can take a video of you and put it onto our social media page, just even if it's just one line, whatever it is. Thanks for coming. Thanks for putting this together. I was happy to be here. You guys suck. Whatever it is. Anybody has a comment, we'd definitely love to use your voice or your face and your likeness. We'll shout you out, all that good stuff, to put together a cool little video of this particular gathering, the message that you want the community to hear, and again, have a really powerful presence on social media, as well as out there in the streets on Tuesday at 4 o'clock, as well as all those public comments. We gotta flood them, y'all. So thank you so much for being out here.